Welcome back to the Magellan Podcast, navigating education in the 21st century. In today's podcast, we explore the intersection of innovation, education, and institutional transformation. The discussion will center on the remarkable story of how Kentucky State University, the Kentucky Council on Postsecondary Education, the state government, and Magellan Learning Solutions joined forces to expand online learning opportunities and build a stronger future for students and the Commonwealth's only public HBCU. We will hear from key leaders at Kentucky State University, including President Dr. Koffi Akakpo and Provost Dr. Michael Dailey, as well as the Magellan team, led by founders Dr. Wayne Patton and Aaron Traphagen. Together, they'll share the vision, scope of work, successes, and what lies in the future for this partnership. Whether you're a university leader, faculty member, or someone passionate about the future of online learning, you won't want to miss this conversation.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's podcast, Magellan Learning Solutions. This week, we're here with some special guests. We're actually on site in Kentucky with our friends from Kentucky State University. It's a pleasure to be here. This week, we're going to be talking about the collaborative journey of Kentucky State University and Magellan Learning Solutions as we've come together to help Kentucky build their online program. Today, as usual, I'm kind of joined by my partner, Dr. Wayne Patton, co-founder and CEO of Magellan Learning Solutions, but we've got a lot of special guests with us today. Today, I'd like to welcome Dr. Akakpo, the president of Kentucky State University. We've got Dr. Dailey with us here today as well, the provost and vice president of academic affairs here at Kentucky State. We've also got Jessica Holman, the director of marketing and public relations. Also from the Magellan team, we brought Mike Floyd, the Associate Vice President for Online Education. He's been the Magellan lead on this project, as well as Dr. Lee Beaumont. He's the new Enrollment and Marketing Vice President for Magellan. And we've also brought partner Jimmy Queen with us. If everybody just like to take a minute and introduce yourself, say hello. Dr. Akakpo, welcome to the podcast. You want to tell us a little bit about your background yourself?
Well,
you can even
thank
mention
you.
Ohio State if you would like to.
Well, I'm a true Buckeye. Well, good afternoon, and thank you truly for the opportunity to be with you this afternoon. I grew up in Ohio, spent most part of my life in Ohio before moving to Kentucky. I started with Speedway as at their head office in Enon, Ohio, then moved to Central State, the state of Ohio, for Department of Natural Resources, North Central. Then I ended up in Kentucky at Bluegrass, then at KSU. And I can tell you it's been a great journey so far, and I love every bit of it. And we have the opportunity to go in detail what we have been doing for the last 21 months since I've been here.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, sir. We appreciate you being on the podcast. And next, Dr. Dailey, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is a pleasure to be with you today. My name is Michael Dailey, and I am an alum of this institution, a legacy alum. My parents actually met here and started their life together here. I have a picture of them right outside Hume Hall, which is the administrative building and where our president's office is. My journey is one of passion, and this is my institution. I have spent most of my life in Kentucky. I grew up about 18 miles away in Georgetown, Kentucky, and a graduate of Scott County High School. I have an interesting past. I started out in school, P12 schools, and working at an elementary school, and then the State Department, and back at the district level. I retired and got a call from my alma mater here at Kentucky State University to come back and help restart or re-engage online education. So having the opportunity to be a part of this project and now serving as provost and vice president has really come full circle. And the wonderful work that we're doing here together is something that we need to share. It is a great experience.
Excellent. Thank you. And welcome to the podcast. And then Ms. Holman, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself.
Good afternoon. I'm Jessica Holman. I am a Kentucky native. This is my 11th industry, and I started it off with the NCAA, that's collegiate sports, and also came back to Kentucky and went into public transportation, where 80% of the folks that are riding the bus are going to school and work. And so now I'm in an institution where I'm actually helping the students who actually ride and who need those services, and probably will need those services in the future to help build up whatever city they're in to drum up that economic income coming in. So I am so excited to be part of this podcast, and I look forward to learning more about Magellan and Sway and just sharing all the good news that's been going on thus far.
Excellent. Well, thank you, and welcome to the podcast as well. With the introductions, we'll move right into kind of the conversation. And I think the first big question, we have is really to talk about what the catalyst for this partnership was. Where did this all come from? What's the backstory on, the vision for online education at Kentucky State? Dr. Akakpo and Dr. Dailey, if you'd like to maybe jump in and share some of your thoughts with us on that.
Well, thank you again for the opportunity. I wouldn't take credit for this because this started before my arrival. So what I will say is sincerely thank the members of our legislature, the president of CPE, and the leadership of the university. They have seen the vision and knew that online is a way for KSU to move to the next level, and something that perfectly matched my vision. So when I came, I jumped on it, full body, wholeheartedly, and Magellan came to the picture. So my hope is, as I said earlier, to take this relationship to a level never seen before, because KSU is a great institution, a gem. However, one thing we have not done enough of in the past is to tell our story. And this is going to be a golden opportunity for KSU to be on the map, not just in Kentucky, not just in our country, but worldwide.
He definitely jumped in because we had a kind of an unnamed student acquisition goal, and you named that goal. And what was that number you came up with for student online enrollment?
Start with 3,000.
Yes.
End up with start with 300, 3,000, and 5,000.
That's right. But that's key because the school needs a vision. It needs a target, and you set that target. And for us, that was exciting to try and hit that peak, right?
Thank you.
I might add, he also coined the phrase KYSU Online Global, or KSU Global, and that has stuck with us in determining what is the outlook and what do we want to use as our footprint into the online space. And if I may add to the priorities, he accentuated and highlighted the investment the legislature has made through our Council on Postsecondary Education, or CPE, and looking at KSU as a viable option for online education, not just putting classes and programs online, but a viable option to operate in that space. And some of the background of that is a management improvement plan helped shape the direction of what KSU is doing as it is emerging to be a leader in higher education across the country and across the world. As he alluded, one of the things was, how do we carve out that space? And within the management improvement plan, there are specific goals for online education. And so as we began to talk about what that looks like and what that is, you as being family of KSU, Magellan said, there is no one operating in that space that is an HBCU that is leading it. Now there is, or now there will be. And that's the posture we have taken on to make sure that we are setting the framework and the structure to be a leader in the online world, and not just an HBCU leader, a leader in the online space.
And just want to take a moment to recognize we have a new member joining us. We've got Dr. Stephanie Mayberry, Vice Provost for Student Affairs, has also joined us in the room. I'd like to welcome you to the podcast. And if you wouldn't mind introducing, and be happy to have you jump into the conversation here.
Good afternoon. My name is Stephanie Mayberry. I serve as the Vice Provost of Student Affairs here at Kentucky State University.
Welcome to the podcast. It's good to have you here. And so, as we're talking about the academic nature, and I think to those of us at Magellan, this concept of helping create, kind of a serious presence for the HBCUs in online, has been an exciting part of the goal. As we've come in and been part of the family. I'm sorry, that's been something that's been important to us. As we came in, I think Dr. Akakpo mentioned that 3,000 student goal. That was something that wasn't part of the initial onboarding. We came in here and it was nice to see such an aggressive goal for growth. And that was something we were excited about. When we first got the RFP and came to visit in Kentucky, sat down, had a great conversation, really talked through what the priorities were for the partnership as well. And
really what initiated this is, it's something we're going to talk about. Well, how did this come to be? And it was a collaboration of the university and CPE and the legislature, which ultimately led to the RFP that we went through the process of completing, which was a pretty big task, wasn't it, Aaron? I think it was primarily Aaron and Dr. Hetty and myself that responded to that. And there was a bit of vetting there. I believe there were a number of interviews. We met with part of the CPE team, part of the leadership here. There were questions. There were follow-ups, and ultimately we were awarded that RFP. And I think the first step we did was we did kind of we popped the hood and did a full assessment of everything that was happening online, from the student funnel side to curriculum to the back-end academic operations, and it kind of culminated in a report that dovetailed with some of your plans. And in that, we found some gaps, I believe. And so Aaron worked with the team here and CPE, and I believe we put together what we call it, the gap budget. And they were actually expanded even in more services that we all identified that we're going to have to be part of the initiative here to really stand this up and do it right. And then when Dr. Akakpo comes in with that goal, that really did, I think, build a fire under all of us. And I'll share something that Dr. Akakpo said that inspired our team. And I think our first visit here, sir, you said that a lot of vendors had come in here in the past and had sought to serve Kentucky State, but some of them only took from Kentucky State. And our team committed at that time that we would not only do what was in that RFP and the subsequent RFP, but we would go above and beyond. And that's something we'll continue to do this day. And because we believe in this mission, and we believe that there will be at least a few national HBCU players emerge in the online space, something that really hasn't happened yet. And so I think we're well on our way with this initiative. But that's a little bit of how it came together, at least. It started like things often do, an RFP or a proposal, a contract, and then we've, for about 18 months been about the work. So that's kind of where we've been and how we got here.
I'd say a core piece of, progressing well through this whole process has been the collaboration. And, to me, it was evident on day one, the day we showed up and Dr. Akakpo said, I want to see 3,000 students in an online program. We spent, I don't know, it must have been 10 or so hours cramped together in a room. We brought various people from across the university into the room. And, really that was the first indicator of what the process was going to look like. You never know what it's going to be like when you walk into a school. And I personally was just blown away by the openness. It's often a very scary thing, to open your doors and kind of lift the hood as Wayne referenced and have people come in and just, ask all the detailed questions. And Dr. Akakpo, Dr. Dailey and her team, were just extremely open, welcoming. And I think that's contributed significantly to the entire personality of the project.
Yeah, there weren't a lot of egos that got in the way. I think there was just a willingness to say, we want to move forward, and it's going to take a whole team to do it. And often kind of egos and silos get in the way, and that's just something that we haven't seen here, and that's essential. So we appreciate that spirit.
We appreciate the sentiment is expressed about how we started the collaboration. I think one of the things that we really wanted to do in this partnership, and we kind of coined it as a family, was recognize that all of us are in it together. So we're on the same boat. So as we raise the tide, the boat rises together. And one of the things that I shared on the KSU side, people that were invited to come and speak with you, was open up. Mm-hmm. Do not hold anything back. This is not time to play nice. You want to go ahead and say, we're starting at ground zero, or we want to look at it as we're starting from ground zero. We do not want to sit back and just play nice in the sandbox, because we're not going to get to the true truth of what we want to do. We wanted to make sure we had a brand new solid foundation in this project.
Mike, you were part of that day one, process. What was that like for you? What have you seen on the collaboration side, and just nobody's really worked deeper inside the machine than you have?
First, I would like to say that on that first meeting when we came, you could tell that those around the table got it. They knew where they wanted to go. They knew what an online program should look like, but they knew that they needed some help to get there. And that was exciting to hear, them being so open about that. Even Dr. Thompson sent Mr. Rush to that first meeting, and you could tell Mr. Rush understood what it took to get there. And that was very exciting to have those conversations around the table. But when we started talking about what it would take in that first meeting, I got very excited because I realized that in order to build the foundation, and I'm not a construction expert, but I have built a few houses. And one thing I know I don't do is the foundation. And it's because I'm not a foundation expert, but I can do a lot of the construction work. And the foundation is very, very important to set when you come in. And what I heard from the team that day was you need to set the proper foundation. And I think Dr. Dailey may have said that multiple times in that first meeting is about setting the foundation. And some of the things that we've been able to do in the past year and a half is, we've developed an organizational structure just for online, for instance. That was very important to build that organizational structure out for online so that everyone knew, the proper flow and how things should work. But as part of that, we created positions specifically for online, like the student support concierge team. They're there to give the type of service that students need, that hand-holding that a lot of the adult students, they work full-time, they're busy. They need that someone who's an advocate for them, who can help them, get the help they need. We've been able to bring into the organizational structure some faculty mentors who also, again, they're there, mainly for the student, but they're also there for the faculty as well to make sure that we're meeting regular and substantive interaction, the RSI requirements. So all of those things are very important when it comes to setting the foundation for an online program. But we've also brought in other positions to help support, because anytime you're growing an online program as part of your school, a lot of folks think we'll just do the same thing we've done residentially, but it's not the same. The speed's different. Everything is different when it comes to an online program. And that has been the most exciting part about this, is seeing how everyone is open to, okay, what does it take to get there? Let's do it. And we didn't, I think Wayne kind of alluded to it earlier. There was no pushback at all. Everyone was like, look, we're all on board. We're all together in this. And being welcomed inside that family has been great. So it's been a lot of fun doing that. Part of that, I would say, part of that foundation, we also developed over 200 pages of policy and procedure to help support that foundation. So a lot of great things have come out of this partnership. It's been a lot of fun.
Wayne got a sad look on his face when he talked about 200 pages of policy.
But it speaks to the scope of this. That's the thing I really want the listeners to understand, is the enormity of this project. It covers all of the main lanes you need to establish a thriving regional, national, global online program. It touches so many faculty and staff here. So much of the Magellan team is engaged, because there's literally at any given time, there's hundreds of people involved in giving lift to this. And so I think that's, for me, I'm a little bit crazy. I like a little bit of chaos, and bringing some order to that. Was the scope of this was exciting. And I think, a lot of us that kind of cut our teeth and helped grow the program at Liberty, I think Mike and Lee will resonate with this. It's that kind of same Wild West excitement of limitless possibilities here with everything we've both brought to bear. So I think that scope, that's an hour podcast there, just to talk about all of the moving pieces that are involved here, on the number of people involved in content development, the number of people involved in these very exciting 200 pages of policies and procedures. But that is essential, because if those aren't in place, you've lost that quality assurance edge and that retention edge that we know is so important to this. So I would just stress and congratulate the team here on the scope of this, and all the people that have brought it to bear, again, from CPE to the institution to the legislature. What you're getting is an enormous machine of an online program out of this.
I would agree with that. I think when you hear 200 pages, you think, oh, that's daunting. But it translates into a couple of things. You already mentioned, Dr. Floyd, the foundation of what a true online program is and what a true online program should be. But that policy also gives us more than structure. It gives us an avenue for growth and a protection, if you will. One of the goals of establishing that policy was making sure we had two distinct pathways to degree opportunities in one university and two distinct opportunities, an online and a residential program. Without those distinctive policies saying this is how online is going to operate, programs that are even visiting the online space have a tendency to cannibalize their own programs because they're pulling from the same pool. But if you have distinct policies on how you're going to operate, then you don't ruffle the feathers of those who have been here for a while having a traditional program, while you open the doors for those people that are new and expanding the online space. So those policy, that 200 pages, actually gave us a better way to navigate, a better way to establish our foundation and to operate within the university.
Very well said. As we kind of talk about the rest of the scope, I mean, one of the things we've hit on a lot is, Dr. Akakpo, your mention of that large student enrollment goal. But I think something that hasn't been mentioned, we talked about before we got started, and maybe you could just kind of share with everybody, it's why. Unlike a lot of schools that are just saying, hey, we want a bunch of students, we want to make a bunch of money, the heart behind why we're trying to bring so many students to Kentucky State University online is very different. Can you share with us a little bit about why that goal is so important?
Thank you for the question, and once again for the opportunity. The number is not too large. The why is, for Kentucky State University to break even, we need at least 3,000 students on this campus. And when I came, we had 1,700. There is no way we can get out of our financial conundrum if we do not grow. But then I also believe Kentucky State University has a lot more to offer than what we have been doing. So writing this new chapter, I think we needed more than below 2,000 that we had. So the 3,000 online and the 3,000 on campus will get us close to my target. My main target is 8,000. So we still have work to do. If Magellan thinks by reaching 6,000, the job is over, no, it's not. No, we still have work to do.
I like it.
At Magellan Learning Solutions, our mission is to help our clients' educational missions with tailored curricular and operational solutions to help them thrive. To meet the accompanying challenges, the experts at Magellan Learning Solutions offer a full spectrum of services in the areas of curriculum development, operational administration, training and professional development, enrollment and marketing, or custom solutions to niche projects. Whether managing turnkey projects, consulting, or acting as a force multiplier, our experience and relational approach will help your team attain its goals. For all your educational needs, think Magellan. Visit us at thinkmagellan.com today and set up an introductory meeting.
So with that, we can, maybe this is a good opportunity for Dr. Beaumont Lee to talk a little bit about some of the enrollment and marketing strategy that's involved in trying to grow this program.
Well, one of the top questions that online students have is, will I receive the support I need to be successful? And so in that vein, we have improved the student enrollment process. We're reaching out to them through multiple marketing channels. Also, we've revised our landing pages as well as websites to give them the information they need to make a decision. Once they inquire, they're contacted within 1 to 2 minutes by our contact center. We will walk the student through the application, which we've revised. It only takes a few minutes to do. We will order the transcripts for the students to take that headache away from them. And then once their file is complete, we will make a very fast admissions decision. At that point, when a student is accepted, they still retain their admissions advisor, but they pick up an academic advisor as well to help walk them through the rest of the process. For example, admissions will continue to work with them in the financial aid process to help them fill out a FAFSA, to coordinate with financial aid to make sure all the documents are received, so satisfactory payment arrangements have been made and the student can have that done. Academic advisors are going to work with the student to do transfer credit as well as register them for courses. And then we will continue to work with the student whenever they get to their first class. So we will actually log into the LMS and make sure the student logged in, make sure they submitted their first assignment, that they have their course materials. So essentially, we're walking with the student from the very beginning all the way to when they start their class.
So I think that's something that we are able to take as a lesson learned. One of the lessons learned about this process is where we can streamline our process for online and for our on-ground admissions process. So we work very well together to make sure that that's a seamless process for our students. And we've adopted some of the concierge model in that admissions will stay with the student until the pass-off happens after the student has enrolled. And so we've moved our new student orientation to the admissions office so that it is a seamless process. And we've incorporated a lot of what we do in person to our virtual students as well. And so that is a great opportunity for us to see what we can improve and streamline our application. And we work with Magellan to do that. And so that's not only just a benefit to our online program, but also in ground. And I think that just helps us move the needle for the 8,000 even faster.
Yeah, it's like it's a corny example maybe, but all of this, it's like in track when there's a relay and they hand that baton off, and often online programs and trad programs, that baton gets dropped. It gets dropped in the student funnel, and if they survive the student funnel, if it's not effective, they hit courses that aren't uniformed, that we then drop the baton there. Then they hit perhaps faculty that aren't trained on RSI or the highest standards of how to teach online and work with struggling students. There's a potential baton drop there as well. So all of this, to Stephanie's point, is about a smooth relay, right? To get those laps in, and every lap we can keep growing this program, but it has to be smooth. That's a great point. That a centralized model, which is what we're trying to build here, that works. I'm writing an article right now about that compares a centralized model with we'll tactfully call it a decentralized model. And the thriving programs simply have a centralized model. It's about efficiency. It's about operational excellence. So without that, we're not going to thrive. So this team is definitely united on that front. It's great to see.
And when we look at the marketing that was mentioned just earlier, we are marketing for our online programs across the country, but that's also exposure to KSU traditional, right? And so we are finding when we go out to meet with students that they don't know that we exist. So this is helping that as well. So there are some students where the traditional program is the best fit. And so this partnership is allowing us to still expand our reach even beyond.
And I think that's a key point. It really is. It's about Kentucky State as a whole, right? So not just an online program, because there's going to be places, we've seen it. We have a residential student or a traditional student who needs to leave, for a period of time. Something happens back home. Something happens financially. The ability for those students to still be a part of the KYSU's family because they can attend online. Or the fact that, I'll be honest, my journey was very similar. I started, with an online school, and it brought me residentially, to that school, moved my family across the country for it. And I think we'll see the same thing. There's going to be people who are going to become involved, and because of the heart, that is being put into the program, they're going to find a love for Kentucky State University that is going to bring them here to Frankfort, Kentucky, to be a part of the campus community as well. With that, maybe we make a little shift. I mean, one of the things that really went into this, happened at the state level, to bring this program to bear. We mentioned briefly, Mr. Greg Rush, and then of course, Dr. Aaron Thompson, here with the Kentucky CPE have been huge players. If Dr. Akakpo, Dr. Dailey, if you could tell us a little bit about, what went on with CPE and the legislature to bring this to fruition.
Well, as I said earlier, we can't be where we are today without the leadership of our General Assembly. Dr. Thompson, Mr. Rush, Mr. Powell, they all have played a key role in what we have in front of us today. So I want to begin by saying thank you to all of them. Thank you for believing in KSU, despite some of the challenges that we faced in the past. And thank them again for believing in this project as well. Every time I go see any of our legislators, they always ask about how is the online program doing. It shows how much they care, how much they believe in KSU. And we use this opportunity to tell them that we're committed. And through your help, we're going to make it happen. And we're going to make it so successful, so beautiful, that they'll be proud of us.
I echo those same comments from Dr. Akakpo. I think the first time we met with the legislature may have been right at Dr. Akakpo's arrival or right before. One of the concerns they expressed before we got this off the ground, and I think we were just awarding the RFP, was they had seen some things in the news not necessarily about KSU, but just online in general, where there was an online program up and going, and all of a sudden the university tanked because whatever reason, poor management, or it could have been just the type of agreement they had. In many of the online spaces, you'll see a shared revenue kind of model. And sometimes that works very well, and other times it doesn't. It really makes it hard for a small university who may want to invest in that model overcome the expenses of implementation. Unique to our RFP and what we shared with the legislature was we want to be able to own this. We are looking at a sustainable model. So we are looking for a partner to come in, help us get up and going, help us build that infrastructure, and then turn us loose. It's the letting the bird leave the nest, right? And that's what we have found in your partnership. And the second time we met, when Dr. Papa was with us, they asked us how was online going, as he alluded to, and they really wanted to know about that agreement. So we talked about the agreement and the partnership and how it wasn't dependent, and we didn't have to hang on, but it was getting us to stand on our own 2 feet and then start that flight as leaving the nest. And they seem to applaud that. They seem to like that idea. They want to see KSU viable. And as Dr. Akakpo stated, that same sentiment was expressed to us by Dr. Aaron Thompson, the president of CPE, and Mr. Rush, who is looking at this from a fiscal responsibility and making sure we have a sustainable. He's constantly in our meetings, and I enjoy that because he's a participant. He's part of the family that says, "Hey, have you thought about, or how do we get the infrastructure in place? Let's look at some positions here that would give you some autonomy within the university, so we aren't bottlenecking processes and procedures." So that's an exciting thing to have happen, and the collaboration around the vision for Dr. Thompson, Dr. Akakpo, and the support of the legislature to really see this come to fruition. We're not done yet, but it's exciting to see how much we're growing.
And that was a bipartisan effort, as I recall.
That's correct.
Yes.
That's correct.
There's a model right there for other states to follow, and not to, I'm a political science major undergrad, so I love this stuff, but this is what good government does. This is that social, contract where one of the pillars of society, government and higher ed meet and changes people's lives. So, for those listening, if you're in a state situation like this, and some are, here's a model, not only at the university, but how legislators and governors can work together to make great things happen.
Well said. I think what was really interesting about this collaborative effort, bipartisan effort you said, was it was not a gift. Mm-hmm. It is an accountable partnership. They want to see Kentucky State University thrive and grow, but they also, as Dr. Akakpo shares with us often, they want to see us thrive and grow, that we're standing on our own, that we are being held accountable for serving the students of the Commonwealth and beyond.
We've been hearing a lot about ROI recently, so that's what we're talking about, right?
That's what we're talking about. Again, I just can't thank them enough. Mr. Rush, an amazing leader. Mr. Powell, Dr. Thompson, they all believe in this journey. The legislature equally believes in this, as well as the governor. So any way we can get to the 3,000 quickly, that will make them all feel good.
Lee, Mike, no pressure. No, and we throw kudos to the CPE folks, and we haven't met many of the folks from the legislature, but CPE's been an invaluable part of this process, and we've enjoyed working with Mr. Rush, the insights they've given, and again, a lot of times just going to a school and working with the administration can sometimes be a feat. But for the state of Kentucky to have come together, Kentucky State University has been a blessing to work with. But for the CPE and the legislature to be so on board, it really is a unique situation. To that end, let's talk a little bit about how things are going, what the successes and achievements have been thus far. We're about a year and a half into, what is definitely a building process, right? It's not, hey, let me put, $1 down today and here it just all takes off. There's a lot of work. And so there's a lot of successes, and things to be celebrated. Personally, as I've watched, I know over 300 courses in process, between, I think somewhere around 150 individual courses have been developed or redeveloped with the help of the Magellan curriculum development team and the Kentucky State University faculty and adjunct faculty. I think there's at least 150 in development now. To get a commitment from faculty, which is, it often doesn't have a solid reputation. It's very difficult sometimes to wrangle faculty together and get them on board with a mission. And it's been amazing, I think, to get that many individuals committed to a goal. To me, that's been one of the great successes, seeing all those courses come together to help, educate the students of the Kentucky Online program.
It's tangible.
Yeah.
They've
yeah,
built
it is very,
and they launch, right? So that's nice.
So what are the things y'all are seeing that have really impressed you, the successes so far?
Well, I will give Magellan team kudos because you all have done a phenomenal job. Even though among the ranked on my own faculty, we have some early adopters who have jumped on this, I'm also a bit disappointed in some who have dragged their feet. And my hope is that they will step up and understand that this is in the benefit of KSU. This is not against them. This is for us to thrive and get to where we need to be so we can have a thriving institution, because everybody wants to be paid better. The money doesn't come from heaven. It's not manna. We have to work to make the money to pay people. And I hope people will understand that this is our future. We're not going to play game. We're not going to pontificate, and we're not going to drag this on. So people who want to drag this on need to understand we're not going to allow it. We have to move forward. We have to press on. And I'm so thankful because every time somebody's dragging his or her feet, I call on you guys, you jump in and get it done, especially Dr. Floyd. Many times I have to call you and say, this is going too slow. And so I'm proud of where we are now. I can't wait till we reach that 300 mark. Then you can tell me when we're going to get to the 1,000 mark and the 3,000 mark. Because I'll be honest with you, many people are interested in this. Mm-hmm. They want to see it happen. They want to see it thrive. And I can't keep telling them it's doing well. But we have to show the ROI. We have to show the results, the milestone, and the progress. So again, this is a great opportunity for us to have this discussion and look for a way forward. I would be remiss if I don't sing the praise of our true unsung hero in this, Dr. Magellan. She jumped on it on day one, and she has not been swayed anyway, despite some of the adversities she has to face. And I want her to know how much I appreciate her. We would not have been here without her contribution.
Well said, sir. I think one of the big accomplishments, and I would agree, the development of the courses was one of those. But there are some interesting byproducts of this journey that I think that we have earned or achieved. One of which is, what does it really take to teach online, and what does that actually look like? I'm not sure the faculty had a grasp on that. Some of them had been the early adopters, as Dr. Akakpo mentioned, had training in the Association of College and University Educators, the AQ model, specifically for online. They had an idea, but they didn't know what it would be like to design, develop, and then deploy. And when we introduced that, it shocked the system a bit. And I had a private conversation with a few of them, and I said, hey, one of the things you need to recognize is this is not about you. This is about what the students will experience and how can we create an active learning environment for those students. I said, so you're going to have the feeling that the baby is ugly. But trust me, it's not ugly. It is about redesigning the work, redesigning the opportunity for learning. And for those early adopters, they came out of the process going, this is some of the hardest things I've had to do. But boy, my course really looks good and I understand it now. I see the connection between the learning objective, the assessments, the learning activities, and what the students will experience. I can watch them progress through that course and know where they are. That's the aha moment that you really want faculty to have in their teaching and learning process. The second thing was just the opposite. When you run into those that were a little resistant, And why do I have to do this? And I should be getting paid more to do this. This is a lot of work. One of the things that happened, either their colleagues and their peers came to them and said, you need to take a look at my course. And they showed it to them, and then they got on board, or they stayed silent. And when they stayed silent, Dr. Akakpo gave us permission to move, because the goal was for the university and the student experience. And we can take care of those faculty that were resistant to that process later. So we kept moving. And when those faculty members saw that we kept moving, then they went, oh, the cart's leaving without me. I need to get on board. And some decided, online teaching and learning is not for me. And that's okay too. But that learning process, the unintentional positive consequences associated with that design process have shaped it to the point where we go back to those 200 pages of policy. We now have an agreement that anybody teaching online has to have this kind of training. Anybody that's teaching online must sign that agreement to teach online. If you're not going to do that, you shouldn't be teaching online. And the reason is there's an expectation of accountability now to the student, not to the faculty member, but to the student. We are a student-centered, active learning, developing program, and we must follow that expectation. Now, we've allowed some things to happen. We set up more mentors for people who weren't ready. And the reason they weren't ready, they didn't get the training on the front end. And we had to say, well, we can't close this program, right? We need the program because we have the students. So how do we support those faculty in getting there? So we added an additional mentor just for the faculty to make sure that they had the modeling in place to do the teaching and learning. And I think that's some of the most positive things that have come out of this project so far. Now, I agree with Dr. Akakpo. I'd love to see that those 3,000 students, that first 1,000, that first 500, what I did, or the 300, I think. But we had a growth from the end of the fall semester in 2024 of 146 students to 247, and that's close to over 50% growth, right? And that's not accidental. That wasn't by happenstance. And we have another term, the C term, that will give us another shot at growing us. And I see us doing that trajectory and reaching that 300 goal.
And the foundation's there now to handle it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was going to say, Dr. Dailey took some of the things I was going to say, which is great because he said it much better than I would. Yeah, I will say that I did have on my list of items that I wanted to discuss today was the fact that we had some faculty who weren't on board at the beginning, but they got on board, very quickly once they started seeing what we were producing with the other faculty. And then when they started going through the process of, developing a course that has proper RSI in it and so forth, and how students were reacting to it in the classroom the first time they taught it. And they were like, wow, my students are really reacting to this. They like it. And the reaction we got from students was great as well. Students were bragging on it. And that goes back to, the team that both Kentucky State has put together, as well as, some of our folks at Magellan, like Dr. McGoy Summers has been a great director of your online program. I can't say enough about Dr. McGoy Summers. She is a real highlight for Kentucky State University. She believes in the mission. She pushes daily. She pushes everyone daily, which is great to get things done. I like that because it makes my job easier as well.
She just push on Dr. Dailey, or
No, she does. She does push on me. It's polite at first, and then I have to read it closely and say, oh, no, she's giving definite direction here.
But no, she's wonderful to work with. That's been great to have a partner like that, on campus, boots on the ground every single day. And then we have, our instructional design team, Mary Hubbard and her team. They've done a great job working with the faculty here, working with the subject matter experts that Kentucky State has hired to work. And it's just been a wonderful experience, and Dr. Akakpo, you mentioned earlier just about the growth goals and where, Kentucky State has been and where they need to get to grow. Lee and I, we worked with each other over 20 years ago, and we were in the same situation at a large university that they were very close to shutting their doors. And a lot of the things we're dealing with today are things we dealt with 25 years ago. It's like a mirror image. It's kind of exciting because I'm like, I've been through this before. I've done this before. And you think, man, I want it to go faster. I want it to go faster. But we're laying this foundation. That's one thing, when Lee came on board with Magellan, I got very excited. Not because of Lee, because, Lee's personality, you just have to know. No, I'm joking. I love Lee. But I got excited because Lee was actually my boss at the former university that I worked at. And we were able to take this small university that was about to shut its doors with the help of Lee helping lay the foundation in the enrollment management piece from, at that point, we had about 2,000 students online. But now that university has over 100,000 students. Now, that was a very early adopter in the online world. So we had some advantages there, admittedly. But, I see great things for Kentucky State. But it takes that, investment. So the fact that the legislature, you said how much you appreciated them, that they're investing in Kentucky State, it takes that investment to do that. And I remember us having meetings, and Lee can, testify to this, where we would have meetings with the finance department and say, can we just have some more of that money back so we can reinvest it? Because we know we can reach that next goal if we can just have some of that money back into the pot so we can go back out and reach those students. We had some pushback, but then one of the vice presidents came in and was like, yeah, let's do this. And when they did that, we were able to show that we could, have growth. Every time we invested, that growth came back, which was a wonderful experience for us to be a part of. And Lee has gone on, I stayed at that university for a very long time. Lee went on to 3 or 4 other universities and did the same thing, which is another reason why I was excited, because when he came on the team, because even though I have a lot of experience, Lee, I knew had more experience than I did in some areas. So it's been a wonderful help having him on board this team as well.
Yeah, I think that's a good segue really to talk about the future, and where we're going from here. The future is definitely bright. We've spent a lot of time building the foundation that everyone's referenced and putting together the mechanics that are going to make things successful. But what is the next stage, for Kentucky State University? What does the future look like? What do we see down the road?
I think one of the things that we're doing is we're taking those challenges and the lessons learned and being able to apply that for what our future is going to look like. We've discovered gaps in our admissions application, in our student information systems, but we're also looking at what everybody else is doing in ways that we can incorporate that. For instance, my son is at another university that has an online component. When I go in to register him, I have to be very specific about online versus traditional. And so we can do that same thing here. So that's something that I can see us doing in the future. One of the things we wanted to make sure we were intentional about is having the same experience for an online student as well as somebody who's here on campus. And so we were exploring what we offer in our student affairs area and making sure that we were offering the same thing. But the way that has helped us is to look at the different types of student populations that we have. And so we can also offer hybrid options for those students. We can have late hours for our students that are student teachers or nursing with clinicals, and having that full experience for the student, regardless of what their major is. And those things happen because of this partnership and me being able to stand back and look and say, where's this gap and what can we do? And so we'll continue to build on what we discover as we keep on working. And so I'm excited about where we can go as far as the student affairs perspective. And I'll let Dr. Dailey or Dr. Akakpo talk about the overarching.
And of course, the first thing Dr. Akakpo is going to say is we're going to have 3,000 to 8,000 students. But
Well, thank you for the addition, Dr. Mayberry. What I will add, though, is we talked a lot about foundation. Now that we know the foundation has been laid, I think it's now for us to build on that foundation. And I have no doubt in Magellan and the team and the leadership that we're going to build on that foundation. On our side, we're ready. We're fully ready to reach those milestones. And as you know it, the 3,000, we have to get there quickly. Mm-hmm. I believe our brightest future resides in online space. Even though we have been one of the few institutions to embrace that early in the past, we have now taken advantage of it. So this is our time to fully embrace it, while also fully taking a full advantage of it. So again, I'm very excited. This is a very exciting time as we write a new chapter in the history book of KSU. I think this one is going to be the most beautiful.
I would agree with that, sir. The future is bright. And I think looking out over the horizon, what do you want to see from a Kentucky State University? We are a comprehensive institution that provides pathways for higher learning, pathways for people who are transitioning from another career, pathways for people who may have stopped out, who want to be part of that KSU family, to join us so that they can continue their education or complete their education. We also, for those rising juniors and seniors that are out there that are looking for an opportunity, but they need to stay at home or just come on campus and be close to home. The future for KYSU Online is moving beyond the walls of what we just have to offer right now and in growing those, but to look at what other opportunities and whatever other career space opportunities that we can actually operate in. I would love to see us accelerate and grow about 2 to 3 programs in the first 5 years each year, to have some programs to offer that expands our portfolio. But what it does is also increases our reach to those individuals. There are a number of things happening in the Commonwealth of Kentucky right now that are bringing jobs and industry to Kentucky. Kentucky State should and must be part of that educational pathway. We're becoming the EV capital of the world. What is it that we can offer to retool, to reinvest in our own citizens in the Commonwealth that Kentucky State can provide them an opportunity to provide that workforce? As we see our footprint grow in agriculture and aquaculture, what opportunities can we not only provide within the United States, within the Commonwealth, but within the world that's going to share and build capacity through learning? I see that as the future of what KYSU and KYSU Online have to offer.
As Ms. Holman, what are your thoughts on?
So I was writing down just some action words. I'm a big action word person. Coming from a sports family, I'm drawn to those kind of words. And the words that I heard was expand and increase the footprint. And when I listen to my colleagues, it's about taking care of the whole person, because some of these folks are non-traditional students who have lives, like Dr. Dailey said, maybe pivoting their career or restarting, refresh, or just getting started. And they need some flexibility to get into the groove of starting their education or furthering their education. So I also am super proud to know that KSU is leading the way here in the state and also helping folks shape their direction for the future, because it does have the ability to affect generations to come.
Yeah, I'll piggyback off that and say I'd like to see Kentucky State become the HBCU online provider for military students in this country. Someone's going to take that space, and I'd like it to be us. Huge opportunities there. We're military friendly here, but there's a lot that we can do to go after that market and show that we care and that this is their one-stop shop for their academic goals. And we know what that means to a military person. So I think that's something we can really grow upon. This team has talked about that a lot. And then to the point about, serving the whole student, I think there's still a lot of the missing secret sauce in online education that we talk about a lot at Magellan is capturing the spirit and the culture of an institution and infusing that in such a way into the content and the experience of the student so that they get it, so that they feel like they are the family here. That's very unexplored space in online. I think a lot of students take an online program, they can have a good experience, they can have a bad experience, but often what they have is a generic experience. They're in some third-party publisher like, nothing against Pearson or Cengage or McGraw-Hill. They have great products, but often that's the whole student experience right there. So I think we can do some great things together to make sure the students feel like they're part of the culture and community. And when they come here, they're like, yes, this is my home. So I think some great work can be done there.
Yeah, some phenomenal thoughts there. And I mean, I just add that whole student experience is really key to the military. I touch on that. I spent a number of years in the military myself. And one thing that I know is, with the distance, the average military member does not have the opportunity to have an HBCU experience. And so I think that is one of those unique pieces, is the ability to reach out to the military community and provide, an opportunity they just simply have not had in the past because they're not at home. They can't be in one place. So I think that'll be huge.
Well, thank you for your service. Concerning our student experience, that's why I asked Dr. Mayberry to come in, because we want to build something very unique. And I would like her to just say a few words on that, what we're trying to do to give every student that unique experience.
I think that what we're trying to do here is create a culture of care that HBCUs are known for. And we want students to know that we want you to come in, we want you to graduate, we want you to finish, but we also want you to be prepared to go out into the world. And whether we do that virtually or in person, that's our goal. The goal is that you leave Kentucky State different than the way you entered. If we haven't done that, we haven't done our job. And we have to take that seriously, and we have to have that culture of care across campus, regardless of modality, of what we're going to give to our students. And we want to continue what that tradition is that was created at HBCUs, that's been replicated at PWIs, but continuing to do that work. And we want to have that, again, regardless if they're online or if they're in person. And I do believe that we're working toward that, and that's going to meet what Dr. Akakpo wants us to do. This is it's not just his job, it's his ministry to be able to offer these experiences to students, to be able to find a pathway out of their current situation. And we want to do that for everybody that encounters KSU.
I can't really think of a better way to wrap it up. I mean, this really is kind of what this is about. And I can't say enough how grateful Magellan is to have been invited to be a part of this project with everyone here at Kentucky, how excited we are to continue to grow. We're continuing to build the team that is going to make these goals and ambitions possible. I want to thank Ms. Holman, Dr. Mayberry, Dr. Dailey, and Dr. Akakpo for joining us today. This has been a great experience, and we look forward to sharing with our listeners the story that is the burgeoning of the KYSU online program. And look forward to be back here in another year and really talk about the successes that have happened at that point. With that, thank you, everybody, so much.
Thank you for listening to our conversation with Kentucky State University. To learn more about their university and programs, visit them at kysu.edu. If you enjoyed this podcast and would like to hear more of our conversations, please subscribe wherever you like to listen to podcasts. If you or your school is looking for help with enrollment in marketing, curriculum services, academic operations services, training and professional development, or you just need help with a custom solution, think Magellan. Our team would love to help. Find us at thinkmagellan.com and contact us to set up an introductory meeting. Thank you for joining us on the Magellan Podcast, Navigating Education in the 21st Century.